Hi, it's Sophie here with my last pitch for the Great Big Internet Math Off, and I wasn't very sure what topic to talk about, so I'm going to go right back to basics and hopefully give you a bit of a "ooh, didn't know that" about the humble probability tree. I've got one here, and the first thing about it, which you might know, is that a probability tree helps you calculate a conditional probability. We can follow the arms and work out the probability that you're pregnant given you've had a positive test, or equally the probability that you're pregnant given you've had a negative test. So this is the second thing about a probability tree. Actually, you can work out having a true positive, which is that you're pregnant with a positive test, or a true negative, that you're not pregnant given you've got a negative pregnancy test. And then there's the slightly trickier ones in the middle where you've got false positives and false negatives, where the result isn't necessarily correct. So you might get a positive test result even though you're actually not pregnant. So let's choose one of these arms and work it through. We can work out the probability that I'm pregnant given I've got a negative test result. Well, actually pregnancy tests are pretty accurate. So the negative tests, the number that we get back even though you're actually pregnant, is about 1% if you look at the boxes. So if I take that, can I say that the probability of having a negative test given that I'm pregnant is exactly the same? Well, no, because that's actually the inverse probability. That comes off this tree. You see, this time, instead of having pregnant as the first arm, we've got a positive test and a negative test result. We've flipped. In fact, flipping, working out the inverse probability, is actually Bayes' theorem. That's the other ooh thing about a probability tree. We can work out Bayes' theorem without actually having to use Bayes' equation. We do the same calculations, but it's a little bit more intuitive. Here we can easily see that negative test and not pregnant are the other way round to being pregnant with a negative test. Getting them mixed up, inverting the conditional probabilities when you don't mean to, well, that's called the prosecutor's fallacy, and it's led to all sorts of miscarriages of justice, and you can have a look on the internet and they're well reported. The last thing that I want to tell you about these probability trees, which is a bit of an ooh thing as well, is that it really shows you what information you've got available. And that goes right back to the heart of Bayes' theorem. Just before Bayes' theorem was published, the philosopher David Hume published an article where he said that somebody reporting a miracle happening wasn't enough evidence itself to believe that the miracle had happened. They're so rare that you're going to need lots more evidence to believe them. But Price, when he actually published Bayes' theorem, countered that argument and said, just because something is rare doesn't mean you can discount it. Just because you haven't got that much information that it happened, the fact that you've got a lot of information that it didn't happen doesn't mean you can discount it. And the great thing about the probability tree is you can see the information you've got. You can see the order that the information flows in. You can easily see which way the conditional probabilities are being calculated. And you can invert it to work out Bayes' theorem. That's not bad for the humble little probability tree.